Day 5 of the Iran War, and the conflict is no longer contained to the Middle East. A warship has been sunk in the Indian Ocean. Global air travel is collapsing across the region. Oil routes that power the world economy are under threat. And the most alarming part? World powers are now openly taking sides. Here are 10 major developments from Day 5 of the Iran War that you need to know. 1. U.S. submarine sinks Iranian warship. In one of the most dramatic naval incidents in decades, a U.S. Navy submarine sank the Iranian frigate IRIS Dena near the southern coast of Sri Lanka. The ship was struck by a Mark 48 torpedo roughly 40 nautical miles off the coast of Galle, sending the vessel to the bottom of the Indian Ocean. Around 180 sailors were on board. At least 87 were killed, while 32 survivors were rescued from the water by Sri Lankan authorities. Military analysts say this is one of the rare times since World War II that a submarine has sunk a warship using a torpedo in combat. This single strike has expanded the battlefield from the Persian Gulf all the way to the Indian Ocean. 2. The war is expanding beyond the Middle East. The sinking of the IRIS Dena shows that this war is no longer confined to the Gulf region. Naval confrontations are now stretching thousands of kilometers from Iran's coastline, involving international waters near South Asia. For global shipping lanes and maritime trade, this is a dangerous escalation. 3. Oil supply is under threat. The Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway that handles about 20% of the world's oil shipments, has become one of the biggest geopolitical flashpoints. If the conflict disrupts this passage for long, the consequences could ripple across the global economy, affecting fuel prices, inflation, and energy supply worldwide. 4. Global aviation is being disrupted. The war is already affecting international travel. Airlines across Europe, the Middle East, and Asia are suspending or rerouting flights to avoid potential missile or drone threats in the region. Thousands of flights have been affected, leaving travelers stranded and costing the aviation industry billions. 5. Iran's leadership warns of retaliation. Iran has strongly condemned the sinking of its warship. Foreign Minister Abbas Araki warned that the United States would bitterly regret the attack, signaling the possibility of retaliation. With tensions already high, analysts fear the next phase of the conflict could involve more direct attacks on military assets or shipping lanes. 6. The conflict is turning into a global power divide. Countries around the world are beginning to line up on different sides of the conflict. Some Western nations are supporting the military campaign against Iran, while others, including major powers like China and Russia, have criticized the strikes. Experts say this geopolitical split is one of the sharpest global divisions since the Cold War. 7. Civilians are feeling the pressure inside Iran. Inside Iran, the situation is becoming increasingly tense. Reports indicate people are lining up at gas stations, withdrawing cash, and stockpiling food as uncertainty grows. In addition, heavy internet restrictions have limited the flow of information across the country. 8. Military strikes continue across the region. While the naval battle made headlines, air and missile strikes are continuing across the region. The United States and Israel have launched waves of attacks against Iranian military targets, while Iran has responded with missile and drone strikes against allied positions. The conflict is quickly turning into a multi-front war. 9. Casualties continue to rise. As the conflict intensifies, casualties are mounting. Reports indicate that over 1,000 people may have already been killed across the region, including both military personnel and civilians. The humanitarian consequences are becoming increasingly severe. 10. No clear timeline for the end of the conflict. Perhaps the most worrying development is this. There is no clear timeline for when the conflict might end. Military leaders have warned that the fighting could continue for weeks, or even longer. And as global powers become more involved, the risk of a wider war continues to grow. The sinking of a warship, rising global tensions, threats to the world's oil supply. This is only day 5 of the Iran war. What happens next could reshape global politics, energy markets, and international security. If you want to stay informed as this story develops, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because this conflict is evolving fast and it affects the entire world.